transmission site for St Kilda Access Television, which is situated at the Christian Brothers College in St Kilda. And coming up now is the Not the End show, which is the final show for 1989 for SKA TV. And included in this show we'll be seeing the Swinging Sidewalks, which was recorded yesterday at 3PBS FM for the kick-off of 3PBS's 10th anniversary, and 3PBS is also celebrating that with a week of Australian music for the whole of this week. Also, we have an interview with the Vice President of the Christian Brothers College, and also we have lots of live music and excerpts of programs donated by the public, and also programs produced by SKA TV people as well, and they have produced that for public access television. But firstly with me is Steve Middleton, who was one of the last station manager of RMITV, and I'd just like to ask Steve, can you elaborate on what it has taken to obtain a licence for public access television?
Well, it was a whole argument with the government. It lasted about 6 months. What we threatened to do was take them to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal if they said we couldn't broadcast. Prior to 2 years ago, only millionaires and public service could broadcast TV, according to them. What we did was argue that the people should broadcast like we're broadcasting now. All I'm worried about is anyone watching. Do you think there's anyone watching, Lilah?
John Sullivan here, who's the Vice Principal of CBC. We just want to have a chat with him for our records. John.
Afternoon, Greg. How are you?
Good, thanks. Can we sort of get from you how your attitude and I suppose CBC's attitude to SKA TV, and how we came to, give us a bit of background on how we came to get this wonderful facility for our test transmission.
Pretty simple, Greg. School's been here for about 111 years, so we reckon we're part of the community. So when the application from SKA TV came along to use the school, particularly during holiday time, we didn't see any problems at all. And we reckon we're part of the community, so this way we can make a bit of a positive contribution.
John, could you perhaps give us a bit of background about CBC and how you said it was been involved in the community for a long time? Could you maybe just fill us in a bit about how you see its involvement in the local community?
We have in recent years had a very successful walkathon, where every year the boys raise about $25,000 or $30,000, and that money is donated purely to some needy person or persons. Last year, for instance, they bought a couple of kidney dialysis machines for the fathers of two families that enable them to lead a relatively normal life. This year they've put their $25,000 into bringing somebody from Hungary to treat a cerebral palsy child that we know of, and for that person to stay in Australia and pass on that information to local people so that the process can continue on for other victims of cerebral palsy and that type of thing.
So an organisation like SKA TV is trying to operate on a more localised, using the television as a medium to communicate on a more local level. What are your thoughts on that sort of using television in that respect from your experience of a local community for so long?
Well, I think it's got a lot going for it because, let's face it, all the kids that are at school here now, they would know anything and everything that's going about TV programs. Maybe it's a bit of an unfortunate thing, but they probably spend a heck of a lot more time watching TV than they do reading a book. So, and I guess so with our clientele, because with the change of population patterns, we now have something like 2/3 of our students here would come from non-English speaking backgrounds. There's a whole wide variety of languages spoken by the students in the school, and I guess communication is a very, very important word with us when we're dealing with so many kids, and obviously one of the most powerful means of communication in this day and age is TV, whether it be your ABC, your commercial channels, or this particular setup that you have going here. And what you are doing now could be, you know, pointing the way to a complete new development in the future in TV. That it doesn't have to be completely in the hands of the big powerful organisations. That the ordinary man in the street, by joining an organisation like yours, can have an input into TV programs and programming.
Well, John, you're not thinking of going to politics, are you?
No.
We need a Minister of Communications who thinks just like you. Okay, well...
School teaching is bad enough without moving into the politics.
Well, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And thanks very much to the school for making this all possible.
It's been a pleasure. Okay, all the best for the new year.
Right, you've just seen Greg Geyer talking to Donald Sutherland, the Vice President of Christian Brothers College, and also the Swinging Sidewalks performing live their weekly Saturday afternoon show on 3PBS FM. Now we have some programs donated by the community for SKA Television's broadcast, following some music and a taste of some of the programs produced by SKA TV. And later on we'll be introducing you to another public broadcaster.
Just like that now, how do you like it? Listen to me carefully. We got a telecast.
You didn't manage to run across any nice wallpaper, on your travels, have you?
Yeah, oh, I saw some the other day. It's green and gold, but look, it's very patriotic.
Very patriotic.
Yeah.
Oh, that would never do. Got those supplies I ordered, Matt?
Oh, my leg, what do you got?
More than you can handle in one night, buddy.
You're on.
I'm not a fascist. This is my home, and while you're all under my roof, you'll do as I say.
Please, everybody, let's at least try and be civilised.
Oh, so you're in charge, are you, Noel?
Yes, I am.
Well, here, I've got some mail for you, mate.
What's this?
It's a tax assessment form from the new state government.
New state government? Elizabeth, why didn't anyone tell me? Why am I always the last to find out anything? Who are they?
Oh, I didn't catch their names, but there's two of them.
Two?
Yeah, the Treasurer's got a shotgun.
And the Premier's a real cow.
Good evening, everyone. I'm your new state premier. And this is Wally, your new treasurer. Say hello, Wally. So, who is the registered owner of these premises? Noel Prendergast, is it? We don't seem to have any record of your payment for the current financial year.
I'm not paying, and that's final. And do you know why? Because there's nothing in it for me. That's why.
Oh, yes, there is. 12 months guaranteed protection.
From what?
My associates.
Ha! I'll be laughing in my grave before you so much get 1 red cent from me.
It's a deal. Wally?
Twiddly diddly diddly twiddle. Diddle twiddle diddle diddle twiddle.
Good evening and welcome to Red Eye News. I'm Simon Sneely.
And I'm Patricia Surging. Controversy rages as Jason Clark pursues so-called irrefutable proof of the existence of UFOs. There's more poo from Drew, and we also have our regulars Lance Prick and Beryl Barometer.
Excuse me, madam. We're doing a story on sewerage. What do you think about this issue of all the poo that's been put into the sea in Sydney?
Dreadful. I'm very sorry for them.
It's terrible, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yes.
Are you aware of what happens to the poo in Melbourne?
I don't live here. It goes down wherever it is, but after that I don't know.
Right.
Hello, and welcome to Backs to the Wall. Tonight with me, my guests are author of 2 best-selling books, The Chronanthians, They're Here, and UFOs, I'm Not Lying, Mr. Peter Sutcliffe. And, of course, my other guest tonight, former member of the CIA and currently president of the International Skeptic Society, Mr. Brad Cheever. Hi. Good evening.
So the Chronanthians are a great spaceship makers. This is a more traditional disc-shaped one with, in fact, a black power cell, which is the reverse of the one before.
Or handle.
Well,
we sometimes call this a handle, and this is saucepan lid.
Yes,
What do you think it's a saucepan lid?
Yes,
You also sometimes call the moon landing a Hollywood stunt, I believe.
What is this black thing coming out the end
That's
there?
an energy void, which is this is in takeoff, and they have jets at both sides. This is probably going to angle out in a.
All right, we'll move on. We'll take it now. This photograph here, Peter. Peter, is probably one of
very
the best.
Controversial and very controversial.
Very
and
controversial.
We're very glad we have this picture because we think this seals it beyond all doubt. This is another disc shaped as the one you've seen before.
This is
and
a
this has
frisbee.
printing.
This is a frisbee.
It does say frisbee on the
No,
object.
I will correct you on that. In Crinanthian it says bat, which is in raw terms a vessel which investigates other places, far off places.
Well, I never thought I'd say it, but thank God for Lance Prick. Over to you, Lance.
Thanks, Patricia. I was going to talk about airline disasters tonight. However, on my way here, I came face to face with potentially the greatest job creation scheme this country has ever known. No, don't try and guess it. You won't guess it. I'll tell you what it is. I'm talking about vandalism. That's right, vandalism. I first came upon the idea of using vandalism as a job creation scheme when I went to make a phone call at a public telephone booth. I walked in and, no surprise, the damn thing had been vandalised. And I thought to myself, someone's going to have to fix that. It was then that I realised, more vandalism, more jobs. And putting my money where my mouth is, I immediately kicked down the rest of the phone booth, walked away, and I was happy in the knowledge that I had created at least one more job for someone out there. So come on, you Australians out there, get off your fat asses, go and wreck something today. It'll give someone a job, so yippee-yi-yi-ki-yay and kumbaya. Advance Australia, I'm Lance Prick. Good night.
Community TV? Haven't seen it. When are you broadcasting?
Everybody's down, organised, set, ready to go. Happy and okie dokie, settle in. Look, yo, hello there. Look, here's a Rococo Pop. We'll have a little chat to this Rococo.
All right,
How
man.
you going there?
I'm doing all right, Elroy. How about yourself?
Well, I'm like awake. I think that's a good start.
thank you.
Righto, without further ado, we give to you the Rococo Pops.
Remember the story of three little pigs. One played a pipe and others danced jigs. Three little pigs are still around, but they're playing music with a modern sound. The three little pigs were in the groove. Everything was running smooth. The pigs are due for a big surprise, cause the wolf appeared with red-rimmed eyes. Well, to show his friendly, shook their hands, and now he was joining up with a band. Instead of starting an argument, one and a two, and away they went. The three little pigs were really gassed. They'd never heard such corny blast. We played in the west, played in the east, heard the most, but you're the least. The big bad wolf was really mad. He wanna play music and he wanna play bad. The house of straw was blown away. The pigs had to find another place to play. The dewdrop in the house of sticks. Three little pigs was giving out licks. The piano playing big white swinging like a gate. Do Liberace on the 88, do it. The three little pigs were having a ball when a big bad wolf he entered the hall. Oh, the big bad wolf he sat right down. Come on, cats, we're going to town.
Hey, thank you. I'm ready to faint. I'd like to see you a bit better, but just so far away. This is next song is our would-be single. You might call it dirty. Take your indecision, baby, give it to me. take whatever you want, whatever you need. I'm sick of the future, I'm sick of the greed. You might call it dirty, it might be a sin. Whatever you call it, it's the mood of man. Pound your name into my heart now, make me scream. Run your fingers down my back, electro on me. Put your lips onto my breast, pull your hair, I'll bang your chin. Take my house, take my car. Now, take my head to make you scared. Give it to me. Make a fire, make it small. Let the flames go in the dark. Take tomorrow, take next year, baby. Now take whatever you want, whatever you need. I'm sick of the future, I'm sick of the greed. You might call it dirty, it might be a sin. Whatever you call it, it's the mood of man. Whatever you want, whatever you need. I'm sick of the future, I'm sick of the greed. You might call it dirty, it might be a sin. Whatever you call it, it's the mood of man. It's the mood of man. It's the mood of man. Thank you.
SKA News team was at the Age Building on Monday the 4th of December, where the issue was newspaper. A truckload of old newsprint was going to be dumped by the group Paper Action for a Green Environment. The group sought to attract the attention of the major daily newspapers who choose not to recycle newsprint. Newspapers account for almost a quarter of our total paper consumption, and this represents an unnecessary wastage of the resource.
In today's session of Naturewatch, we look at a tiny but dangerous denizen of the St Kilda suburban underworld. In this jar we have a red-backed spider. It's commonly found throughout suburbia, including St Kilda.
Did you know that there was a free health chiropractic centre for unemployed pensioners and disadvantaged people in St Kilda?
Our philosophy is quite simple really. It emphasises health promotion and disease prevention, and we look at your diet. We suggest exercise regimes that you can improve your lifestyle with, and we do some counselling, but it's very much focused on a natural approach to helping you get back to the road of health. We have a donation box, so we encourage people to either make a small donation or, more importantly, to provide a service, or to lend a helping hand rather, at the dining hall here at the Sacred Heart Mission or at Crossroads, and that I think gives people an opportunity to give something back if they want to. If you're at all interested in taking advantage of the service, well, you're more than welcome to. And just one final message: if there are any podiatrists or naturopaths out there with who are interested in the project, you're more than welcome to come in, have a look at the place. If you like the place, we'll be more than glad to have you work here if you want to. Thanks.
Stay tuned for the lucky astrological wheel. Now it's over to Steve.
Depending on what sign each of the planets is in at your birth modifies the operation of these factors. For example, a person with Mercury in Virgo at the time of their birth will tend to communicate in an orderly, down-to-earth manner, which is characteristic of the sign of Virgo. It's the same with all the other planets in the various signs.
For a third person to phone in with their birthday and the lucky sign will win a prize, and the phone number to ring is 525 3551. And it's going to be Aries. Oh, just two. And the lucky Arian to phone in will receive this book from Mary Martin of Ackland Street, St Kilda, and it's about how to chart your own horoscope. Right, thank you very much.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another political Viewpoints show. I'm your host, Red Bingham, and tonight we're going to be discussing anarchism and Marxism and their relevance to contemporary Australia.
Anarchists are very sceptical about organisations such as political parties, especially political parties which claim to be the advanced section of society and are going to lead the workers anywhere.
But we think, well, that the present state is there to uphold the present system and prevent workers running society and getting rid of the bosses. And in the course of a revolutionary upheaval, we think workers have to be organised, that they have to take control themselves. And that necessarily means setting up their own institutions. And we would classify that as being a state, not of the state of the same sort as exists today, though.
Anarchists, syndicalists and anarchists have believed in federation as a system of organisation where groups, and whether by industry or by locality, of autonomous groups deciding for themselves in their own local areas or their own particular areas of concern, federate together, which is different to the Marxist conception of organisation where an elite, usually a central committee, decides for the rank and file of the party and therefore the working class as a whole.
I mean, we in the National Socialists don't align ourselves with the sort of societies that exist in Russia or China. And so we're highly critical of the communist movement internationally in terms of Stalinism and so on.
I'm going to ask other people on my left to ask questions to the Young Liberals on issues that concern them.
Now, if the masses of society, of the working class, decided that they wished to seize all the factories, taking that they considered the only necessary class in society the working class, and totally abolish the whole system of hierarchy, bosses, government, etc., and create a self-managed society, I would like to know what the Liberal Party's reaction would be to that.
The Young Liberals very firmly believe that negotiation has to take place at the work level, the factory level, the enterprise level. And that's our policy. Our federal policy is very much along those lines, whereby you don't have the big power structures making the decisions. You have workers making the decisions with employers at the workplace level.
Well, here I am with Con, and we're at Central Station Club, aren't we? Yeah, the Central Station Club. One of its kind. So what's the idea with Central Station's a record shop, isn't it? What are they doing down here?
Well, we're trying to plug our hip-hop and get into the club scene, get the underground sounds into the club scene, and get a lot of live stuff happening with the young and up-and-coming local talent that's happening in town at the moment, I suppose. Well,
Daryl, why did you decide to make Against the Innocent at this particular time?
Well, we actually finished the film in about June last year, and it was a culmination of a lot of work that had been done by the co-writer of the film, Jenny Hocking, who'd just done a PhD in counter-terrorism, looking at Australia's counter-terrorist forces. And I'd been working with her on various things as well, and so I was aware of what she'd been doing, and we both sort of got together and decided that there was a lot of material there that would make a really interesting film.
Rowland Howard.
If you're a rock musician, that's like being the lowest artistic denominator. You're obviously a rock musician because you can't hack it in any other field of art. And this is the general supposition placed upon you by the world of culture, whereas in actual fact I think it's probably about the most powerful field of expression there is.
Been doing, and we both sort of got together and decided that there was a lot of material there that would make a really interesting film.
Rowland Howard.
If you're a rock musician, it's like being the lowest artistic denominator. You're obviously a rock musician because you can't hack it in any other field of art, and this is the general supposition placed upon you by the world of culture, whereas in actual fact I think it's probably about the most powerful field of expression there is.
Goodbye to free love, yeah. If you want to shake my hand, you'd better wear a glove, yeah. I don't want to know your name, I want your history. I want to know if what you got is gonna kill me, yeah. Well, I'm not saying that you're not clean. I just don't know where you've been. Forget about passion, forget about love. Forget about romance, I'm thinking about my blood.
Here's Cosmic Psychos for SKA TV. 1, 2, 3,
We are here to hear some poems, and by radical I don't necessarily mean offensive or cutting down, but in the sense that to be radical is to know your roots. This is a poem about Brunswick Street. Rouge the sky tonight, the sound of traffic's hiss loud on us felt in the rain. All the slippery conversations spill out from cafe doors on Brunswick Street. Girls dance pavans with passing cars. A boy, gentle with song, carries flowers. In the provincial, Jack pulls his splendid beers. A barman, gold as ale. The red herring serves Balmain bugs, delicious in their shells. The police, their sirens and their bells, pass by at speed that kills. Some murder there on Brunswick Street, perhaps. Or some poor drunk bastard bleeding from a nosedive into a gutter, thinking it's a river. Brunswick Street with bookshops applauding for a browse. Brunswick Street of the bloodied nose and the elegance of fists. Brunswick Street of the passionate kisses against shop fronts, or the fall of lost coins or guns that dropped in haste scar the landscape. Brunswick Street of the lost heart of our smile. I do adore your long half mile.
He stops at my table on the way out after the poetry reading. He's wearing a hat with artificial multicoloured feathers cascading down the back. He says, "Well, you surprise me. Didn't think that you'd be so radical." And starts comparing me to his mother and his grandmother and all the other old women he knows. I think, oh, holy goddess, here we go again. But politely ask him why. My friend, who's 60 plus and grey like me and dresses very straight at times, as I do too, sits up and looks real interested. He doesn't seem to hear my question, goes on. And how surprised he is. I say, my friend, it seems to me that your life education is very much neglected. There are lots of radical grey-haired women, just like me. You simply haven't met them.
Cut the hoot. Thank you. That's what you'll hear when you've gone over time. We're talking about your poems, original, scraped and formed from the blood skin. We're talking about now. We're talking about now till midnight. Talking about a time when the microphone can be your own resonating agency. Now, doesn't matter who you are or who you say you are. Your poem will speak for you, and the empty chair will be evidence that no one's listening.
Imperative that we, the council and residents, at the ground level be in there working out what the best options are, rather than have that process taken away from the community and done on behalf of the state government by professional consultants.
So the government was going to come in with their consultants, do this report, say, okay, we're going to have intensive development of some kind here, and here, and stuff you, basically. Stuff whatever the council thought, even though the council has spent millions of dollars in the last few years improving that foreshore area and is the responsible planning authority for that area. It's like they were just trying to grind the council under their foot, basically, and say, right, we're taking over planning control from here on because you aren't fitting in with our tourism strategy, which is what the state government's... I mean, I contacted Roper a few months ago, or his advisor, and I said, look, I need to comment on what the state government's view is on St Kilda. And they only said, we want to keep the foreshore of St Kilda open to the people of St Kilda and visitors to St Kilda. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. And then they come up with this thing, which, if carried to its ultimate point, would put multi-storey buildings right along the immediate foreshore, which would totally block off everything, which would cut off access to the beach, which would cut off access to the upper esplanade and the lower esplanade. It'd be horrendous.
It's not so much as a battle of St Kilda, I think it's a battle of the whole of the greater Melbourne metropolitan area. I think the battle is always going to be there. There's always going to be a difference between sort of like big property development as opposed to, and those people with just rights to decent housing and having made choices to where they want to live.
My feeling is the way they're going at the moment, they look like they're going to give the developers pretty much free rein unless things change.
Right doesn't seem to mean that you're going to win anything. The way the law works sometimes, I think it's true, it's an ass. The law works against the people who have the moral right on their side.
It depends how much money you've got for lawyers, really, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a case of actually having development that is consistent with the interests of the community at large.
Still awful old St Kilda.
Okay, this is me and Rod Quantock. Who? Mounting a takeover bid for SKA Television.
Was I went to a lot of clubs, too many clubs, and this is about going to too many clubs. Oh, Clubland, wait at the door, pay to get in, then wait to pay more. It's too loud to hear, too dark to see clear, too cramped to move far. All the flesh is to watch, the beautiful shell to wash up at the bar. And hope ultraviolet won't pick up, the lead on black's not new enough. Oh, Clubland, haircuts rule, straining for the elusive cool, eternal youth and eternal folly. Oh, look over there, I think it's Molly. American music, American cats, black and white clothes and cute cocktail hats. Everybody's smoking, nobody's talking, the bouncers are bouncing outside. It is raining on the shuffling queues of Puppy Club landers who wait, looking vain and sure of their chances to make it inside with the drinkers and dancers. And the famous might be famous, was famous last week. The older you get, the more darkness you seek in these Elysian fields of the smooth and the tan, with limbs like Mercedes and eyes like Ray-Bans. Daddy's wallet keeping Clubland afloat. The underage private schoolies gloat with their picture in this week's Beat magazine. Who did what, whose tongue to whose ex on the scene? Old Clubland. The Friday night call of the wild that turns adult back into a child. Promise a moon or at least an affair. A few coloured lights, a drink, and you're there for a few whirling hours. You believe, but the magic wears off. The room is too hot. People are drunk, too rich and too soft, with nothing to say except with their clothes after 4 hours dancing, even day on the nose. So it's goodbye to Clubland and never again will its promises tempt you to wait to be in, to be bored by the pages, ignored by the stars. Never unless it's for a good laugh.
3PBS is about to enter its 10th year of broadcasting. Is that right?
That's correct. We've been on air 10 years this Thursday at 4:30 in the afternoon. But PBS has actually been around for a little longer than that.
A little longer?
About 13 years, in fact.
Which is 3 years longer.
Yes. 3 years that was spent getting a licence, doing test broadcasts, and finding a studio.
And how did you go with getting a premises in that 3 years? Were you actually stabilised somewhere?
No, we started off at 49 Peel Street in West Melbourne, and we met there for many, many months, and there was a lot of searching done. Eventually we found the Prince of Wales in St Kilda.
And was the whole organisation manned by volunteers who were writing submissions to get a licence and all whatnot, all the rest of it?
Pretty much. The first 3 years were fairly hectic. PBS was meeting once a month at an official level, but in between times, many people were involved in preparing a licence submissions and seeking out studio and transmitter sites.
Right. And now, as a radio station, you know, you've been on air for 10 years, what distinguishes PBS as a public broadcaster in compared to other radio stations in Melbourne?
I think it would be easily summarised as saying that what you hear on PBS you won't hear anywhere else.
SKA TV.
And I'm now with Sam Perler and Peter Lane, the president of SKA TV. And I'd like you to tell us some more specific details to the value of access and sponsorship of public television.
I want to start with me, Lilah. Okay, what SKA TV is about, perhaps differently from some other public television groups, is that we believe public television should fund itself and own itself. We're not particularly interested in ongoing government funding, though we wouldn't mind them giving us some money to buy a big transmitter. And we're not particularly interested in arts funding for ongoing administration. We'd like some help setting up, and then we intend to run public television from its own resources. One of the ways we're going to do this is through sponsorship. Perhaps Sam could have a word about that.
I said a bit briefly before about sponsorship. What I'm just like to expand a bit more about is that if any persons in business out there have seen what they liked and want to know a bit more about how they could sponsor it regarding the new legislation that's going through next week, and is that we're trying to introduce a tiered system of sponsorship, which depends on what type of trader you are, depends on how much you can afford. On a sliding scale will depend on how much that we're willing to charge you. So we've got 5 different scales, and where if you're interested in doing some more production with us, we'd certainly like to hear from you, and you'd be a great help to putting community television on the air, and it'll be great.
Yeah, because the office at the Prince of Wales Hotel in St Kilda will be open every week for the rest of for all of 1990, even though this is our final show for the end of 1989. So anybody who wants to make contact with us can call us on 525 3551 or drop in at the Prince of Wales Hotel on the first floor. Peter, can you say something?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody in St Kilda who's been watching this telecast. You may not like all the programming. 80, don't throw things at me, please. You may not like all the programming. You may hate some of it, or you may love it. But that's not the point. The point is we're not here to make programs for you. We're here to put on the programs that you make and that you want to see. So if you think public television can be better than what you've seen in St Kilda this year, come and join SKA and do it early next year. So we want to try and get permanent licence inquiry called before the federal election. That is, we want them to tell the ABT to call it and set a date, because we want to have permanent public television in 12 months' time.
What you've seen here today in the last few weeks has been all done by volunteers who've really just gone right out of their way and worked extremely, extremely hard. And with some more money, we could do anything. Yeah, we just need a little bit more money, a little bit more support, and we will have lots to offer this community.
So ring us up early in the year.
Yeah, so we've got some other people here. And
the rest of the team's here with us.
Come and join us. Come and join us.
SKA TV.
Come and join us.
We'd just like to thank one more time, roll the credits, thanks, and Kilda Council, well done. Outside Broadcasting Services, Sonny, keep rolling, buddy. Sonny, great videos. Tubbo's Pizza, yum yum. Broadcasting Rentals, Captain Video, yes sir. Intercity Hire Television House, great TVs over there here. Next week, think set and tape supplies, fantastic stuff there. Open Channel, what a place facility. What a facility. Comcopy, what do they do? Prince of Wales Hotels, great place to stay. 3 PBS, what a station. Samuelson, who's he? Lee Mack, great stuff, and TNT Communication. We'd also like to thank Toshiba.